Landmines and jellyfish. Welcome back to Knives, I guess, and I just want them to bring back the grape Pop-Tarts. I really do. You know, I had mentioned that at work one time, and a guy goes, "What is this, the 1980s?" And I felt both seen and deeply offended. I went through several stages of grief pretty much instantly. But do me a favor and hit that like button, or I don't know, I never got my free bikini wax. I'm kind of disappointed. But Knives Ranch reached out to me a while ago to check out one of their knives, and it was a fixed blade, and I wasn't really set up to handle a fixed blade, so I passed on it. However, now that I've got some editing software, I actually took them up on it, and they sent the Lumberjack. So, let's take a look at what we're holding, because it'll bother you if I don't, and you know I love you. So, first things first, and most importantly, there's no pocket clip, because reasons. However, they did include the leather sheath right here. We have got 5.5 inches of 440C steel, overall length 10.5 inch, and the handle is black burlap micarta. So, these things are $80 on the website, and I don't know whether or not that's a good price. This is the first fixed blade we have taken a look at, and I don't normally buy fixed blades, so, you know, one of y'all let me know what you think about the pricing and all that. We've got a hollow grind on it with a fairly high polish, and we've got a blasted finish on this thing. It looks like a forged finish, I'll be honest. It looks like a forged finish without being a brute to forge. This looks and feels like it was a forged finish, like it was drop forged. It didn't see too many heat and beat cycles. And then they scrubbed all the scale off of this and left it as a natural finish, which I'm not offended by. You know, I do like a brute to forge, and I like the contrast of this versus the brushed satin finish. It looks like they went up to a reasonably high grit, something like 600 or 800 grit, and left it as is. So, I'm not offended by the looks, and it looks like we've got a black burlap micarta here with a brown micarta spacer on this. So, I'll be honest, this doesn't look too bad to me from where I'm sitting. Now, one thing that they were clear about, because they sent me a letter with this thing. They sent me a letter with this, and they made it very, very clear that this is made in Pakistan. So, like, they're upfront with that. They know it's made in Pakistan, and they're not trying to hide it, which is really cool on them, because usually Pakistan is a bad, bad, filthy word when you're talking about knives. However, that's usually the Pakistani Damascus. Pakistani Damascus, we know. That is chewing gum wrappers and car bumpers. That stuff has a tendency to be very, very awful. But Pakistani 440C, a Pakistani mono steel, if it's 440C, it's 440C. The heat treatment, that's going to be interesting to see, because of course we're going to do cardboard slayer with this thing, and this is going to be a multi-part deal once I really get the process dialed in for showing some of the testing on it for a fixed blade. You know, I plan on doing a little bit of cutting, a little bit of chopping, a little bit of outdoorsy work with it to see how it holds up to that and how it does. You know, maybe see how this performs as a camp knife. I'm not sure exactly how I'm going to go about that yet, but I do have some of the materials put together for it. But I did want to show you this thing real quick and get the video up for them so that they know we are working on this thing. Now, the jimping on the back, this is just some straight cut jimps, and they are sharp, they are aggressive, and they grip. So if you like a nice sharp jimp on this thing, you're definitely in business there. That definitely takes care of you. The sheath on this is, it seems really functional. It doesn't seem like the nicest sheath I've ever seen. However, there is a nice welt running down the center here, so you're not too worried. You don't really have to worry too much about the knife going clean through the sheath and the point coming out and poking you with this. I've seen that happen before on these things that don't have a welt on it, and man, that did not look good. Because, of course, the retention on this is pretty good. The retention on this is solid. You know, I've felt retention like this on some of the, what's the word I'm looking for? The plastic sheaths. I've made the plastic sheath myself, but I can't remember the name of the material to save my damn life. But, you know, the retention on this is nice and solid. I would have no fear that it's going anywhere on me. The loop for the sheath, that's on here, and I might have liked it a little bit farther back on here so that the handle was a bit more, a bit better hidden on the belt, to put it nicely. The handle sitting a bit lower on the belt. That's what I'm looking at. The stitching on this looks pretty solid. That's a nice thick material. I have had some really, really bad leather sheaths that come with really cheap survival knives. So overall, and it doesn't feel like, no, that stitching's not going anywhere without some pretty severe abuse. So, you know, overall, overall, I like the sheath. I was worried about the sheath may or may not be the highest quality when it came in, but it seems to be heaps good. I would have no fear about carrying this thing and not worrying about losing it. And again, I've had some of these sheaths where this part especially was particularly weak and it gave out. An ant fart hit it and the stitching gave out, and I dropped the knife. Actually, it was a big multi-tool with a leather sheath like this. And I was lucky that I realized I had dropped it and went back to find it, because that was in a grassy field and I would have never seen that thing again, and I would have been very upset. I like that thing, even though it's comically oversized and hideously impractical. But, you know, like I said, from where I'm sitting as a guy that hasn't handled a whole lot of fixed blades or used a whole lot of fixed blades because of my environment and how I have to carry things, it's, again, I have to dress business casual at work. Yeah, all right, I got to dress business casual at work. We have a dress code, and a big fixed blade hanging off my belt's a big no-go. I really, really wish that it wasn't a no-go, because I love carrying fixed blades and having them outside on display on my hip. I like showing off the knives. So, you know, I'm going to try to figure out how and when to carry this thing around on me, because I don't leave the house much. I am an absolute hermit. You know, the house is full of stuff that I like and no people. You know, the wife's here, and, you know, like, of course, I like chilling out with her in the house, and we do nothing together. But, you know, so I'll try to figure out how I can carry this. And they got a nice level of polish right here along the, what would be a flipper tab. But they got a nice level of polish right here, polish along the steel, because it is full tank construction. A nice level of polish here along the back. So they got this stuff polished really well. I'm not seeing a whole ton of grind marks on it. That's actually really nice. You know, I've tried to make some fixed blades before, and I ran the grinder through here, and I even tried some Damascus, and the Damascus always drove me nuts, because Damascus, you'll have Damascus pattern up through here, and then the pattern stops because you have to grind the handles to fit. And, you know, so this was very obviously, the scales were fit, the micarta was fit up and pinned in place, and then it was ground to shape. If you're doing something higher end, you have to make these things fit pretty much perfectly, then finish your blade off, and then put these on. So they did a really good job polishing this up. I'm not going to lie. You know, as far as ergonomics in the hand, this feels really, really nice. I know I lost track of what I was saying, but ergonomics in the hand, this feels really good. I feel like Cardboard Slayer is going to be overall a really good experience. Now, let me wipe this thing off real quick, make sure we don't have anything stuck to the edge. Let's take a look at where the edge is sitting on this. Let's see how well they sharpened it from the factory. That is a very, very nice low resistance cut. I got like a few tiny curly cues that fell off, so I can't really show them to you on camera. I was going to try to get a curly cue so I could show you, but I don't want to sit here wasting your time for another 5 minutes. So let's get the edge sharpness tester out. We'll take one good sample, see how it's doing. Man, the retention on that sheath feels so good. The retention on that sheath feels so good. But we're going to get the edge sharpness tester out that you guys kindly provided through your channel memberships, your super chat donations, what have you. I will always be grateful for the support. And let's take a look at where this thing is sitting right now. All right, let's fire the bad boy up. $175. So that is not the sharpest thing I've ever seen, but for a factory edge, that is solid. For a factory edge, that is very, very solid. I do like seeing that. You know, 175 has kind of been on, it lines up really well with the Civivi, your Kaiser, your Vosteed. It lines up with those factory edges on the folders that we've done, so that is pretty good. You know, I'm definitely interested in seeing how this edge stands up to some use and some wear and tear. And of course, we do have the jute rope or the hemp rope. We've got some cutting and testing that I do want to take care of on that. So, you know, stuff keeps falling. Would you stop falling? I'm trying to do a video here, inanimate objects. But yeah, overall, I like this thing quite a bit. I don't know. I don't know whether or not the pricing on it's good. You know, for $80, you know, like if I was a blade show and I saw this, I would probably go ahead and grab it at $80, or if I could talk them down a little bit on the price, just to have something like this. Because honestly, in my opinion, the thing's beautiful. The thing is absolutely beautiful. I love the way this thing looks, and of course we got the Knives Ranch logo right here. At some point in the future, I'd love to check out some of their folders, because they got some folders that look incredible. Like, they are beautiful. But as far as this, like, everything is fit up well, it's finished well, like the edge is nice and sharp. I can't find a whole lot of fault with this thing, I'm not gonna lie. I can't find a whole lot of fault, but you guys that know more about fixed blades than I do, please chime in. Please chime in and let us know what you think about this. And, yeah, here we have the Knives Ranch Lumberjack. So I can't think of a lot else to say about this thing that we haven't covered now that I've covered everything that I can think of. So, all that being said, thanks for looking at my crap. Subscribers, you guys are awesome. Y'all keep coming in. I appreciate you so, so much. If you haven't subscribed, please do. We got live streams, regular videos. There's plenty of activities. Comments. I love some feedback. Please, let me know what you think about this thing. Let me know what you think about the appearance, the finish, the fit up, everything else. And, yeah. And, of course, we're going to plug products from friends of the channel. They're not affiliate links. I don't make any money. I'm just supporting some friends. And I do have the Amazon shop linked. You don't have to use it, but it's the easiest way I've found to show you some cool things that I have found recently. So here you go. And as always, we are going to link up to Cutting Lacey EDC's Diamond Emulsion if you want to step your stropping game up, make it easier to sharpen your blades, and keep them sharp. Wonderful product. I use it myself on every single knife I sharpen now. And we are going to link up to Mad Yocco's Wax. If you want to protect your blades that are prone to corrosion, if you want to darken up the color of your micarta, or take care of a million other things, he is going to be on Blade Binge with his wax. Alright, just supporting some friends of the channel and some small businesses. And all that being said, y'all have a nice day.